Think about the last time you searched for something online. Like, really think about your own behavior over the last couple of weeks.
Right. It's totally changed.
Exactly. Did you type a question, get a page of 10 blue links, click one, and then just, scroll through 4 paragraphs of fluff to find your answer?
Yeah, probably not.
No. Or did you type your question, hit enter, and an AI just instantly handed you a neatly synthesized summary with the exact statistic or fact you needed?
I mean, most of us are experiencing that second scenario now, whether we actively opted into it or not. The friction of hunting for information has just been, well, almost entirely removed from the user experience.
And that shift, it isn't just a fun new UI feature. The fundamental way we find information online broke and was completely rebuilt in May of 2026. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, our mission is to unpack a massive stack of research, including some wild data from Sia Clarity and Neil Patel.
Very wild data.
Right. We're looking specifically at Google's May 2026 core update and the global rollout of AI mode. We're going to figure out exactly what changed in the underlying algorithm, the very real impact on SEO and GEO, which is generative engine optimization, and most importantly, the concrete steps you and your team need to take right now to actually stay visible to your customers.
Yeah. Because the sheer scale of this change, it requires a total reset of how businesses think about digital visibility. We are looking at a fundamental rewiring of the internet's primary routing system.
To put this in perspective, based on the sources we're looking at, what Google did in May 2026 is basically like changing the rules of a sport and the shape of the ball at the exact same time.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like you've been training your whole life to play basketball, you step onto the court, and suddenly someone hands you a football, and the referee tells you to kick it through a goalpost.
And the panic that marketing teams felt, I mean, it makes total sense when you look at the timeline. The sequence of events in May really reveals the underlying mechanics of what Google was trying to achieve.
Walk us through that timeline.
So on May 19th at Google I/O, AI mode became the default search experience worldwide. It was no longer just a beta test in search labs, it was the default.
Right.
It's powered by Gemini 3.5 Flash, and the operating philosophy completely flipped to answers first, links later.
And then, literally 48 hours later, on May 21st, Google drops the May 2026 core update. A massive, earth-shaking algorithmic shift that just rumbled through the internet until early June.
Exactly.
And you don't just roll out the biggest interface change in your company's history on a Tuesday and accidentally drop a massive core update on a Thursday.
No, absolutely not. They shipped a brand new front-end interface, the AI answering the user directly, and immediately tuned the back-end supply, the index, to feed it the raw materials it needed.
They had to sync them up.
Right. They had to change the algorithm to prioritize a completely different type of data format to make Gemini 3.5 Flash function effectively as a search engine.
But reading through these industry reports, they frame this as an ambush, like an earthquake out of nowhere. I'm looking at the history here, and I'm wondering if we've just been slowly boiling in this water for a decade and only just noticed the temperature.
Oh, we definitely have. The signs have been flashing red for 15 years. I mean, Google has been steadily removing the need for you to click on anything.
Right.
Back in 2011 and 2012, you had the Panda and Penguin updates going after thin content and manipulative links. Then Hummingbird in 2013 shifted the engine's mechanics.
Oh, so?
Instead of just matching the keyword Apple to a page that says Apple 100 times, the engine started trying to understand entities, like the difference between Apple the fruit and Apple the tech company.
Which eventually gave us the knowledge graph. I remember when you could suddenly search a celebrity's height or a movie release date, and Google just gave you the answer in a box right at the top of the page. No click required.
Exactly. And then we moved into the era of featured snippets, and those people also ask boxes. Every time Google introduced a feature that kept users on the results page, the SEO industry dutifully optimized specifically for that feature.
We basically trained ourselves.
We did. Brands traded actual website traffic for search page visibility. By 2019, clickstream data showed that more than half of all Google searches were already ending without a single click.
Over half the searches resulted in 0 clicks 7 years ago. That is insane.
Yeah. Sites that republish reference information like dictionary definitions, weather, sports scores, they watched their traffic evaporate years ago because Google just answered those queries natively.
But people just thought that was a specific niche problem.
Right. The industry dismissed it as a quirk isolated to fact queries. The May 2026 update proves it was a trajectory. 15 years of slowly moving the answer onto Google's page culminated in Google's page simply becoming the answer.
So let's talk about what that means for who actually gets seen today. Because if the front end changed to an AI summarizing the internet, the back end algorithm had to radically change who gets prioritized to be part of that summary.
Yeah, the criteria flipped.
We have this fascinating data set from SEO Clarity. They analyzed over 672,503 keywords, tracking rankings before and during the May rollout. What did they find?
The pattern in that data illustrates exactly what the AI values. Primary sources and direct brands saw massive surges in visibility. Streaming platforms went up 26.3%.
Wow.
Sports brand sites up 19.3%. Finance brands like direct banks and brokerages went up 9.5%. And airlines and hotel brands climbed over 8%.
And then you look at the losers. Tourism boards dropped 33.2%. App Store and corporate listing pages dropped over 33%. Online travel aggregators fell 11%, and finance comparison sites dropped 9%.
Brutal.
The researchers call this disintermediation. The middleman is literally being deleted from the internet.
Because for the last decade, the most lucrative SEO strategy was aggregation. Think of a travel blog writing the ultimate guide to Delta's baggage policy, or a software site publishing the 10 best CRM tools of 2025. They were just repackaging someone else's original information and capturing the search traffic.
Because humans didn't want to dig through Delta's messy corporate site, so the travel blogger did the work for us.
Exactly. But a large language model is the ultimate aggregator. It doesn't need a blogger to summarize Delta's baggage policy. It can instantly ingest Delta's actual policy and summarize it for the user in real time.
That makes total sense.
When an AI is building an answer, it actively avoids aggregators. It wants the unvarnished original source data so it can synthesize the answer itself.
Think of the AI like a serious investigative journalist. If I'm writing an expose, I'm not going to quote a blogger who read a government report. I want the actual original government report. I want the primary source.
Yes.
So if your website's entire business model is just summarizing other people's data, you are no longer competing with other blogs. You are competing directly against a supercomputer.
And you will lose. The AI needs sources it can trust, end quote, to ground its answers, which prevents it from hallucinating. Whatever your company is the primary source for, your proprietary data, your pricing, your original customer case studies, that is now your most defensible asset on the web.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop you there because we need to talk about the terrifying elephant in the room for anyone who relies on web traffic to make money.
The zero-click numbers.
Yes. The similar web session data puts AI mode's zero-click rate at around 93%.
It's a huge number.
And Chartbeat showed organic Google traffic to publishers fell 33% in the year leading up to November 2025. I'm looking at these numbers, and the math just isn't mathing. How is anyone surviving a 93% zero-click rate? Is traditional SEO just dead and buried?
Well, the absolute volume of traffic is terrifying if you only look at the surface, but Neil Patel's data reveals a completely different reality underneath. SEO isn't dead. It is evolving into search everywhere optimization.
Okay, let's look at the Refujet case study in his report, because this is where my brain just broke. They are in the auto and motorcycle loan refinancing space. High interest rates, really tough market.
Yep.
They blended traditional technical SEO with LLM optimization. Their raw traffic from large language models went up 2012% year over year. But here's the stat that actually matters. Their funded loans from organic search and LLMs combined went up 178%.
Which is incredible.
How is a company making 178% more money in a world where 93% of searches result in 0 clicks? Were we just obsessing over the wrong metric?
We have been trained for 20 years to obsess over raw session volume. But the traffic mix is undergoing a fundamental quality shift. The absolute volume of clicks is dropping because top-of-funnel informational queries are being entirely resolved by the AI. But the intent and the financial value per click is skyrocketing. Google's own documentation explicitly states that clicks originating from AI features are higher quality.
Because the user has already been pre-qualified by the AI.
Exactly. Think about the user journey. If someone actually clicks a citation link buried inside an AI summary, it means they have already read the high-level overview.
Right.
They aren't idly browsing to figure out what a product is. They are arriving at your site to verify a highly specific technical detail, or they have their credit card out and are ready to buy.
So the top of your marketing funnel didn't disappear. It just moved off your website and inside Google's AI.
Yes. You get fewer total sessions, but the conversion rate of the sessions you do get climbs dramatically.
Okay, so if success in 2026 and beyond means capturing fewer but incredibly high-value clicks driven by these AI citations, well, we have to figure out how to get the machine to pick us. How do you optimize for an intelligence that is dynamically writing its own answers?
You have to understand the specific mechanical process of how an AI retrieves information. Google refers to this mechanism as query fan-out.
Walk us through exactly how query fanout works. Let's say I go to Google and type, what is the best CRM for a 5-person creative agency that bills hourly? In the old days, Google would just look for a page with those exact keywords. What happens now?
Now, the AI receives that prompt and realizes it's way too complex to answer with a single search. So it dynamically decomposes your prompt into multiple parallel sub-searches. Yeah, it simultaneously searches its vector database for CRM pricing models for small business and creative agency workflow tools and time tracking software integrations. It goes out, finds the best individual pieces of information for each of those subqueries, and pulls those fragmented passages back to assemble a custom Frankenstein answer for you in milliseconds.
Meaning ranking and citation are now two completely isolated competitions.
Completely. You could rank number one in traditional search for the broad keyword best CRM. But if your page doesn't explicitly answer the subquery about hourly billing integrations, the AI will contribute absolutely nothing from your site to its final answer.
So you're invisible.
Exactly. Conversely, you could rank on page 2 for the broad term, but because you perfectly explained the hourly billing integration, you provide the core claim for that specific subquery, and the AI cites you. If you are only tracking traditional rank, you're measuring a race you are no longer running.
In the past, the strategy was to write a bloated 3,000-word essay that covered every possible angle, hoping the sheer weight of the page would make the whole URL rank.
The ultimate guides.
Right, but based on query fanout, we shouldn't be serving a massive buffet. We should be serving a tray of perfectly formatted index cards. Hand the AI the exact statistic, formatted cleanly so it can just grab the card and slot it into its answer.
Yes, the passage is the new fundamental unit of optimization. Models do not retrieve whole pages. They retrieve and quote at the passage level.
Okay.
If you publish a 3,000-word article, the AI doesn't see one document. It sees 30 candidate passages that it evaluates independently.
So how do we actually format those index cards so the AI can read them? The Geology report talks about an answer-first structure.
It requires a complete reversal of how human marketers like to write. Every section header on your site, your H2s, must be followed immediately by the core claim or the actual answer, usually within the first sentence.
Don't bury the lead.
Never. Give the machine the concrete number, the price, or the definitive fact right away, and only elaborate in the subsequent paragraphs.
Right, because burying the answer 4 paragraphs down under a long, winding anecdote might build narrative tension for a human. But for an AI semantic retrieval system, it makes your information computationally expensive to extract. So it just skips you.
Precisely. It's too much work for the machine.
The research also emphasizes EAT experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, and this concept of brand confidence. Why does a mathematical language model care about my brand identity before it decides to quote a fact from my website?
Because the language model isn't human. It doesn't intuitively know if a piece of text is true or false. It relies heavily on entity confidence to verify reality before it risks its own credibility by naming you as a source.
What does that actually look like for the AI?
It cross-references your website against your customer reviews, your Wikipedia presence, your LinkedIn company page, and industry mentions. If your naming conventions are inconsistent, or if there are contradictory facts about your brand floating around the web, the model's mathematical confidence in your entity drops.
So it gets confused.
Very easily. And if it isn't confident about who you are, it will not cite you, no matter how perfectly written your passage is.
Which explains the massive emphasis on structured data in these reports. Stuff like schema markup. For anyone not in the technical weeds, schema is basically a standardized language of code you put on your site.
It's a translation layer.
Right. Instead of the AI looking at the text $49 and having to guess if that's a price, a product name, or an employee's hourly rate, schema explicitly tells the machine, this string of numbers is our monthly subscription price. You just remove the guesswork.
Schema markup used to be considered, optional SEO decoration. Now, it is the literal vocabulary the engine uses to confirm that the digital entity on your web page perfectly matches the real-world company it thinks it is referencing.
Okay, so if the mechanics of search now require bite-sized, verifiable facts, an answer-first structure, and crystal clear entity authority. What does the actual playbook look like? If I'm listening to this and I manage a marketing team or run my own business, what are the concrete steps I need to implement this quarter? Let's start with the chopping block. What do we stop doing today?
Stop funding generic "what is X" explainer content. Stop writing beginner-level definitions of concepts that have existed for 20 years.
Yes, please.
Kill the aggregation roundups where you just summarize third-party tools and abandon the high-volume, low-intent listicles.
There's just dead weight now.
Totally. AI mode resolves those queries flawlessly without ever requiring the user to leave the search page. Continuing to produce that format now costs more in labor than it will ever return in revenue.
I am more than happy to attend the funeral for the generic SEO listicle. So we redirect that budget. What do we scale up?
Scale up the creation of primary data. Surveys, industry benchmarks, proprietary teardown studies, anything that generates new numbers or insights that literally did not exist on the internet until you publish them.
Because an AI cannot hallucinate a statistic, it needs a source to cite. If you generate the statistic, you guarantee the citation.
Exactly. It is the highest ROI content type in the generative era. You also want to scale up heavily opinionated comparison content.
Because the AI is neutral.
Right. The AI is designed to aggregate information neutrally. Your unique advantage is having a defensible human point of view. Finally, lean into free tools, calculators, and interactive widgets. A mortgage calculator is one of the few things an AI is forced to link out to because it cannot run complex interactive math inside the chat interface.
There was a brilliant example in Neil Patel's research regarding user-generated content, specifically looking at GoPro. They dominate search by heavily leveraging videos and photos shot by real users.
It's a great strategy.
It acts as a massive, undeniable trust signal for Google's EEAT framework. Like, an AI can generate 1,000 words on mountain biking, but it cannot fake the visceral first-hand experience of a user's helmet cam video. It proves human experience.
And that leads directly into the off-site strategy. Traditional link building was a numbers game, getting as many random blogs to link to your domain as possible to boost your authority.
Right, the old spray and pray.
Exactly. The new game is citations and brand presence on the specific surfaces the AI trusts. The models pull brand sentiment and recommendations from review platforms like G2 or Capterra, from TikTok, YouTube, and critically from community forums.
The Reddit statistic in the source material is staggering. Reddit now appears in 97.5% of Google searches for product reviews.
97.5%. Having an active positive presence in those community threads is no longer an experimental tactic. It is structural to your survival.
Why does the AI love Reddit so much?
Because it wants to weigh corporate marketing claims against actual human consensus. Getting your brand naturally discussed and recommended in the places where models go to retrieve human sentiment matters far more than the traditional link equity of a web page.
So even if there's no link?
Even if there's no link, the model reads the Reddit thread, learns about your brand's reliability, and factors that into its entity confidence, even if a human user never clicks a link from Reddit to your site.
Okay, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a local business owner right now. Say I run a plumbing company in Chicago or a niche B2B logistics firm. I'm listening to this thinking, do I really need to hire someone to choreograph a TikTok dance or spend my evenings arguing with people on Reddit? Can't I just fix my website's technical SEO?
Look, you don't need a viral TikTok dance, but ignoring offsite signals is no longer an option, especially for local businesses. The traditional local search playbook has completely merged with generative engine optimization.
How does that actually play out?
When someone asks AI mode, who is the best emergency plumber near me who actually answers the phone on weekends? The AI does not crawl local plumbing websites to find the answer.
Right.
It queries Google business profiles, it analyzes review velocity, and it reads the sentiment of local citations. It synthesizes that data to build a short list of 3 names. If your Google business profile isn't meticulously optimized and teeming with fresh, descriptive reviews, you simply do not exist in the AI's reality.
Let's talk about how we actually measure success in this new reality. Because you mentioned earlier that we have to stop obsessing over raw traffic. If I follow this playbook, I build primary data, I optimize my passages, I build entity confidence, and then I walk into my CFO's office and say, great news, our total sessions are down 30%.
I'm going to get fired on the spot.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Your reporting metrics have to evolve before your strategy does. You have to re-anchor the entire conversation with your leadership team around intent and share of voice. You stop leading the slide deck with total sessions. Instead, you track a metric called share of answer. Explain how we track share of answer.
Okay, so you identify the top 50 high-intent buying prompts in your industry, the questions people ask right before they pull out a credit card. You monitor those specific prompts and calculate what percentage of the AI's generated responses actually name your brand or cite your passages.
That makes sense.
You also need to segment your analytics to track AI referral traffic, specifically so isolating the visitors coming from ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. The absolute numbers will look small compared to the old days, but you track the conversion rates of that specific cohort.
What happens to Google Search Console? We've lived in that dashboard for years. Are those metrics useless?
Not useless, but they require a fundamental perspective shift. In Search Console right now, you might see your impressions holding steady or even going up while your clicks are falling off a cliff.
Right, which used to be terrible.
Historically, we viewed that as a failure, a terrible click-through rate. In the generative era, you need to reframe those zero-click impressions as exposure. It means your content successfully informed the AI's answer, or your brand was featured prominently beside it.
Oh, I see.
You are getting valuable brand visibility and shaping the AI's knowledge base. You have to educate your CFO that fewer sessions at exponentially higher intent, combined with massive brand exposure inside the AI answer, is a far more profitable model than chasing empty clicks from people who are never going to buy anyway.
To bring this all together for everyone listening, search did not die in May 2026. But the traditional page of 10 blue links, the era of the middleman, is gone. The entire strategy has fundamentally shifted from competing to rank to competing to be cited.
Exactly.
You have to establish yourself as a primary source, and you have to structure your knowledge so a machine can easily extract it and verify your reality.
And this transition is actively happening in every single category and industry right now, regardless of whether a business chooses to adapt to it.
But before we wrap up, there is one final provocative detail buried in these research reports that we really have to talk about. The sources mentioned that Google is heavily investing in agentic features. We are talking about information agents and shopping agents.
Yeah, this is the next frontier of the technology, moving from retrieval to action.
Because these aren't just AIs that summarize a travel blog for you. These are persistent, autonomous agents that can make phone calls to local businesses on your behalf. They can verify inventory, negotiate prices, and actually execute a purchase or book a flight for you while you were asleep.
They act on the user's behalf entirely in the background, utilizing their own logic.
Think about the implications of that for a second. An AI is doing the actual shopping. It's reading your product schema, it's analyzing your merchant center data, it's parsing your reviews. It doesn't look at your beautifully designed homepage.
It doesn't care about it.
It is completely immune to your clever hero banner, your brand colors, or your witty copywriting. So it leaves you with this massive question to mull over. When an AI is the one doing the actual buying, what does the future of brand loyalty even look like?
It forces every business to ask whether brand loyalty in the future will belong to the company that made the product or to the digital assistant that flawlessly procured it.
It is a wild thought to leave on. You're out there on the court, you got a football in your hands, and the referee is telling you to kick it. The rules have permanently changed. But if you understand how the machine actually thinks and how to play this new game, the goalposts are wide open. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.